Hey, what's up, guys, gals, and those in between? If you don't know, my name's Connor. Very new to YouTube. In fact, this is my first vlog upload, so I'm super excited and not nervous about it. And today I'm basically doing this idea I have. It's called a reach action. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen like reaction videos. This is gonna be similar to that, but not quite, because I'm not really reacting to the song. I'm more like analyzing it because I'm quite passionate about hip hop. I'm passionate about poetry. I love analyzing this kind of thing. Um, so I'm gonna be analyzing the bars and hey, it might get to points where I'm really like reaching at meanings and what they might be. So if I do, tell me in the comments below if you think I'm reaching. Otherwise, strap in and enjoy it. Today, I'm looking at Stogie T's Freestyle on Sway in the Morning. This is just because, first of all, I love this freestyle so much. The man says a lot of like good-ish. Um, and yeah, I think he's a bar spitter, like through and through. Also, he's South African, so like shout out to the boy. Yeah, you know what? Let me not waste your guys' time. Let's just get straight into this.
The only rules you have, Stogie T, is you got to bring bars. Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, can I just say I love how laid back he is about this? He's like,
Stogie T, South
I'll
Africa's
spit if I have
finest way in the
to.
morning, honey and pain.
There ain't a French bottle, we ain't pop a fresh article, we ain't cop Ben's top that we ain't dropped and dress model, we ain't knocked festival, we ain't rock destined to beat us hot to the best of my knowledge. Rest of the average, that's saying a lot, but if you taking stock.
Okay, that's just obviously he's baller rapping. He's like, dog, we've done it all. We popped all the French bottles, we've dropped the Benz tops, we've rocked all the festivals. Like, it's lit out here, it's lit, it's lit.
Destined to beat us hot to the best of my knowledge. Rest of the average, that's saying a lot, but if you taking stock and you don't save a spot for the forsaken lot from the bacon heart, land of the slavers dark, that's your prerogative. We polar opposites. I'm from that continent of poverty and long walk accomplishments.
Alright, so obviously, like at the end there, from the continents of poverty and long walk accomplishment, that's a Nelson Mandela reference. Obviously, your boy Madiba wrote like the long walk to freedom was the name of his autobiography, so he's referring to that. But then what I want to zoom in here when he says save a spot for the forsaken lot, like my first reaction or like my first interpretation was that by forsaken lot he means like Africans, obviously forsaken by colonialism and its legacy in South Africa. But what I find interesting is like when he uses the word lot, because like when my dickhead ancestors started pulling through, the colonialists would come in and they'd be assigned land, and like the land got assigned in like lots, like a lot of land, right? And he's calling it forsaken. So he's basically saying like through the process of colonialism, when like the land was chilled, but people came through and claimed it when it wasn't rightfully theirs, thus it became forsaken. And he's obviously like echoes the fact that he's talking about land, when he says later on like land of the slavers dock. So like I think that's kind of what he's getting at there.
We polar opposites. I'm from that continent of poverty and long walk accomplishments, where former heroes give birth to spoiled rotten kids. The opulent meet the poor, cleaning their offices. We push rocket ships like Elon Musk, charge the whip but still stuck in shit because we don't got a pot to piss in.
So you guys know obviously South Africa has the highest, if not one of the highest Gini coefficients in the world, and that's kind of what he's talking about here. So he's saying like opulent meet the poor, cleaning their offices, and then he says like, so Elon Musk, who is South African, who's obviously like mega rich, and he juxtaposes that with like we're still stuck in shit, where he's talking about like 90% of the country who don't have access to the wealth. Also, can I just say I love like the Elon Musk, it's like obviously Tesla, charge the whip, like yeah, charge the whip, dog, because fuck petrol, honestly. Yeah, fire.
Elon Musk, charge the whip, but still stuck in shit, cause we don't got a pot to piss in. Say God forgives as you give the church half your shit. I'm bugging still, we can tell a pastor from a pimp. It's Roman Catholic, it's Anglican, it's African tribesmen, migrant, shit, it's masked men kidnapping kids.
Nah, it's lit, guys. Honestly, I can't even reach at it's Roman Catholic, Anglican, it's African tribes. That part, like, I'm not even sure what it is myself. I'm gonna have to ask Stogie T the next time I see him. But before that, when he's talking about God forgives that you give the church half your shit, that's first of all just lit. And then the next part he says like we can't tell a pastor from a pimp. It just sounded like a reference to me, so like I put in a bit of research. This is what I came up with. I'm not Christian, by the way, so like, just know that, I guess. But basically, Jesus once told a story. It went like this. So a pastor and a pimp walk into a church during the worship service. The pastor prayed to himself, God, thank you that I'm not as sinful as many of the people around me. I believe in justice. I do not steal from people. I'm faithful to my wife. I worship you in costly ways like fasting, and I give at least 10% of everything I earn to you. The pimp, on the other hand, was like quite cut to the heart by the teaching from the scripture, and he prayed to God. And he said, God, there is no reason why you should forgive me. I've done terrible things. I am sorry. Please be merciful to me. The pimp was forgiven by God, and he became a child of God that very day. But the pastor, who had gone to church every week for years, was not a child of God. He was a good person, but he trusted that his goodness was enough to please God. So because his heart is lifted up, God will lay him low on the judgment day. But every person who is truly humble before God will be saved. So the basic summary of this whole parable, is this a parable? It says like the pastor is a really good man, but the pimp is not a good man. Okay, but in the presence of God, the pastor thinks about himself, whereas the pimp in the presence of God thinks about God. So the pimp is forgiven and redeemed because he's not like self-obsessed and like that kind of thing, where the pastor is hellbound. So that's just, I'm not sure if that's what Stogie T is getting at, but like, I just thought that would be interesting for you guys to see. By the way, I'm linking all of this in the description, so you can go and read up on it a bit more for yourself, if you like.
It's Anglican, it's African tribesmen, migrants, shit, it's masked men kidnapping kids. I say South Africa, you think Trevor. I think Nelson, it's half a parent, you getting mixed messages. Hey, I say Nigeria, you think fella. I think Delta, it's past and present, blurry as an impression this way. I put
Ooh, okay, guys, there's a lot to unpack here, and it's lit. Okay, so basically, where do we get into this? So, like Stogie's saying, I say South Africa, you think Trevor, I say Nigeria, I think Nelson. First of all, like what I want to get into here is, it's just super smart how he says like half a parent, you're getting mixed messages, because if you're mixed race, then like one parent of yours will be one race and the other will be another race. So like half your parents are one race. So it's like half a parent, you're getting mixed messages. And then obviously Trevor Noah is mixed. So like that's just a clever reference. But then I think what he's basically doing here is he's using Trevor as like the sort of idealized or like the cool form of Africa as it's viewed in like Western media. And he's saying like, when I say South Africa, the first thing that comes to your guys' mind is Trevor Noah. Whereas for him, it's Mandela, who like more represents the struggle that like Africa, specifically post-colonial Africa, has had to go through and is still going through. And he doubles down on this when he mentions Fela, who is a Nigerian jazz musician, like absolute G from back in the day, genre defining, low-key maybe a cult leader. Like you guys need to go read up on this guy because there's a lot of interesting things. By the way, if you do that, just try to find out how many wives he had and like how many he married at the same time. It's gonna blow your mind. So he's saying like when he says Nigeria, the West or like America think about Fela, who's another like pop culture, like Nigerian pop culture icon. But Stogie thinks Delta. And I think by Delta, he's talking about the Niger River Delta, which is like, you know, like there's the Niger River in Nigeria and then there's the Delta where it like out. It's a region in Nigeria where like there's a lot of oil and is like the center of a lot of conflict in the past. For example, Nigeria's civil war, which is also known as the Biafran War, maybe Biafran War, I'm not sure. I can't really get into it, but basically what happened in 1960, Nigeria gained their independence from the UK. And in 1967, so basically in 1960, Nigeria gained their independence from the UK. And like if you've seen any post-colonial period in Africa, you know like they're always intense. So a lot of ish goes down, obviously. And then in 1967, the Igbo people, also not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in the east, below the Niger River Delta, decide to secede from Nigeria and form their own state, which they call Biafra. And this sparks the Nigerian Civil War. If you like want to know more about this, I highly recommend reading Half of a Yellow Sun by Queen Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Like the book will change your life, guaranteed. But that's only half the reference, like to like the the Delta conflict sort of thing, because apparently from the 90s, even until now, there's a lot of oil in that area. And basically, like, there are a lot of tensions there still because local ethnic minorities are being exploited by foreign oil companies, neo-capitalist dickheads. Again, fuck petrol. And in those, so that's another representation of like conflict around the Delta area. By the way, one of those is like from the past, and one of those is from the present, which Stogie talks about in like the following line, where he's saying like, I think Delta is past and present, blurry as an impressionist. So he's obviously saying like the struggles and the issues that Africa have to go through in a post-colonial period are like past, and they're still present, they're still affecting the continent today. And blurry as an impressionist, it's like these are highly nuanced issues. There's a lot to wrap your head around about them. Like, it's not just black and white cuts, like set things, you know, there's a lot going on, which he's saying about that. So like, that's a flippin', that's also like super funky, I think. Yeah.
Fella, I think Delta, it's past and present, blurry as an impressionist way. I put your certified hyenas in elephant graves. I'm punching way above the ceiling you said is the grade. This is the red letter day. Show them how a vet is made. Last time somebody skipped this file, David Blaine, he's ready made.
Oh, it's so good. Like, okay, first of all, I just want to say, when he's talking about like put your certified hyenas in elephant graves, there he's basically, so like Sway, like all the good rappers who comes on, like, and they perform well, he calls them hyenas. He's like, they're the up and coming rappers who are like taking a stab, you know, like at the big, they're like chewing on the big boys or whatever. And Stogie's baller rapping here. He's saying like, screw those guys, you know, like, I'm gonna kill them all, and like, I'm not even gonna dig them all their own graves. I'm gonna put them all into one mass grave, because like, I'm a boss like that. Which is dope. And then also, by the way, hyenas and elephant graves is a Lion King reference. Like, what a G. And then he also mentions like, this is the red letter day. And this, so basically like a red letter day, I think it comes from like Roman calendars or like calendars in general, but basically like really important days are marked with like red letters on them instead of like black or blue letters or whatever. So he's saying like, this is the red letter day, this is an important ass day. And then last time someone spit this fire, David Blaine, he's saying like, David Blaine, the magician, he like breathes fire. Stogie in this thing, he's breathing fire. It's absolute heat on the track, which is, yeah, I mean, it's true. He's breathing raw fire.
Show him how a vet is made. Last time somebody skipped this file, David Blaine, these ready-made superstars with tattoos and scars. And you think they can save face with a few bars? They lukewarm, I'm in true form. 38 like Jordan in Utah, killing them with the flu shot. Struce God, that means trust me, I'm nutty as RuPaul, but I wear out a pussy like King Jaffe in New York.
Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot to get at you. So basically, like ready-made superstars, tattoos and scars. He's talking about mumble rappers, you know, they fuck up their faces, and then he's like, they can't save face. Like, they can't. He said they think they can save face, but really they can't, because he's in true form. And then the Jordan reference here, if you've seen any reaction videos to this guy, then you know. But basically, like, Michael Jordan was playing a basketball game in Utah, and he had the flu, but he still scored 38 points. So he's saying like 38. Is Stogie maybe 38 years old? I don't know. I'll also have to ask him when I see him. 38, like Jordan, Utah, killing him with the flu shot, like while he has the flu. Such a bar as well. And then the next part here, when he says wear out a pussy like King Jaffe in New York, that's also a smart ass reference, because he's talking about there's a movie called Coming to America. It's got Eddie Murphy in it. I haven't seen it, but I've Googled it. And basically there's a character in that who's called King Jaffe. I think he's from Africa. And then, but he basically wears like a lion's pelt, like the head of the lion. He's like is here, and he wears it out like while he's walking around New York. So like King Jaffe, he wears out a pussy, which is the lion. But then Stogie's also saying like he wears out the pussy, like Stogie T fucks hard. You know, it's basically what he's saying. Like, yeah. Fire.
I'm nutty as RuPaul, but I wear out a pussy like King Jaffe in New York. What could you do, bro? When I promise you all the smoke, I am so Calvin, bro. This is Snoop Dogg.
Calvin Brodus is Snoop Dogg's real name, so he's saying like he's an OG, like he's a real one.
When I promise you all the smoke, I am so Calvin Brodus to Snoop Dogg. This is the diary of a madman who should have been stamped champ, but I wrote above their heads like Anne Frank. Fam, I'm a giant amongst ants, like the tyrant from Baghdad who's saying I can't hang on camera.
Oh man, okay, that is just bars. So he's like, okay, this is the diary of a madman. So he's talking about diaries, right? And then he mentions it should have been stamped champ, but I wrote above their heads like Anne Frank. Obviously, Anne Frank like hid in an attic from Nazis for like years, okay? And while she was up there, she was writing a diary the whole time, which he's already referenced. So he's basically saying like she wrote above their heads because she was writing a diary while the Nazis were looking for her like underneath, right? But then he's also saying like he writes above our heads in terms of like the bars he writes go over our heads, which like most of them probably do, even like for me. So that's, and he's basically saying like should have been stamped champ. Like he's saying like you guys would recognize that I am the GOAT if you actually got all my lines, if they didn't just all go over your head, which I think is like kind of seems pretty true. And then when he goes on, he's saying like tyrant from Baghdad who's saying I can't hang on camera. He's talking like tyrant from Baghdad is Saddam Hussein. And then he's like, Hussein, I can't hang on camera. I think that maybe like a call out, maybe that's like a bit of beef that he's getting through. I'll have to ask him as well, which is cool. And then, yeah, like that's just, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope how he does that for show.
Dying amongst ants like the tyrant from Baghdad who's saying I can't hang on camera. Grew up with hammers, M16 hammers, no dancers, miss me with MC Hammer. I'm a cool G rap alumni, these my handlers, the Kufi Nas from NY, Jesus Medallion.
Okay, so like grew up on hammers. Hammers are like Humvees or like Hummers. They're like war vehicles, right? Grew up on hammers, M16 hammers. Obviously M16 is the gun, like, and the hammer's the thing that fires the bullets. So I think he's making a reference here to like pretty much like a kind of military style upbringing that he had, or like what I mean by that is like Stogie's mom Ellen Molekane was part of Umkhonto weSizwe, so it could be like a reference to his upbringing, which was essentially during a war. He was even like he was born in Tanzania because his mom was exiled at the time, and then he says like these, and then he says like I'm a cool G rap alumni, so he's like he's an old head basically saying to himself, but like these my handlers, Nas from NY, Jesus Medallion. So he's basically citing like the rappers who have influenced him so far, and he continues talking about his influences as he goes along.
These my handlers, the Kufi Nas from NY, Jesus Medallion, reading Langston Hughes, El Haj Malik Shabazz and them shit in the pocket like the Autobahn assassin.
Guys, okay, so basically, right, Langston Hughes, obviously like a Black American poet, writer, activist. And then Al-Haj Malik Al-Shabazz is Malcom X's Muslim name. So that's real lit because like he's obviously saying like those are his influences. Like that's the literature he's been reading. It's like serious Black consciousness kind of stuff. But then when he says in the pocket like the Autobahn assassin, it's the next level line, guys. Like that's just so dank. Cause so basically in the pocket, I think is like, I don't know, maybe like some kind of reference to when you're in the zone, or like, you know, you're in the pocket, you're killing it, you're ready to go kind of thing. But like the Autobahn assassin, so basically, if you didn't know, like Malcom X was assassinated and it happened in the Autobahn ballroom. And the way it went down was Malcom X had his bodyguards, because like it's Malcom X, obviously he's carrying his goons with him. But then the assassin, or like the assassin's like teammates or whatever, came along and they started a scuffle nearby in order to distract Malcom X's bodyguards. And the way they did that was that one of them yelled out like, bro, get your hands outside of my pocket, you know? And so then while Malcom X's bodyguards were like distracted and like sorting out that whole commotion that they were causing, the assassin went up to Malcom X and shot him in the chest with a sawn-off shotgun, which is like, once again, I'm putting all my links to the stuff down below if you want to go read it out. But yeah, that's an explanation of that line. It's a flipping good line.
These my handlers, the Kufi Nas from NY, Jesus Medallion, reading Langston, Hughes, El Haj Malik, Shabazz and them shit. In the pocket like the Audubon assassin. They gon' photograph an African prototype of a starving kid, but not show you the royal blue Aston Martin whip. It's complicated. And fuck vibranium, educate them. We got ghettos too, and they orange juice concentrated. But Bo Brady.
Yeah, yep. He's basically saying like, you know, in Black Panther, like vibranium is like the ish that like Africa built this like prosperity off and stuff. He's saying like it's a pipe dream. There isn't that stuff. We need education around here, which is bars like, yeah, talk your talk, Stogie.
Educate them. We got ghettos too, and they orange juice concentrated. But Bo Brady said, be measured in your actions. Give him honey and pain, happiness and the anguish. Like when Tony got the flooded rolling and we called it hope. For all the times the Pope had my folks against the rope. So
yeah, apparently this Tony guy is, I don't know who Bo Brady is, by the way, but apparently this Tony guy was like an American life coach or something. And he basically like bought a nice watch, like a Rolex, and then was like, yeah, this is my symbol of success, that I'm now successful because I bought a Rolex. So Stogie's saying like, yeah, that's what like kind of brought hope.
Got the flooded rolling and we called it hope. For all the times the Pope had my folks against the ropes. For all the times he drove a shorty out to Mary Stopes. And all the ones we almost broke, but still be calling hoes. They fall for men who end up teaching them the rope a dope. These the broken homes we form. It ain't sweet.
That's heavy. Yeah, it's like, okay, so basically like, yeah, Stogie, South African. South African's like gender-based violence capital of the world. There's a lot of hate, like it's disgusting what goes down here. So basically, first of all, I just want to say shout out to this guy for using the platform to bring this topic up. But he's basically saying like, all the times we drove a shorty out to Mary Stopes, which is an abortion clinic, and the ones we almost broke, but still be calling hoes. He's saying he's basically calling men out on the hypocrisy, saying like, we're calling these women hoes because we've had to take them to go abort our children as well. And the ones we almost broke, like we're breaking them by doing this. And then saying they fall for men who end up teaching them the rope or dope. The rope or dope is like, he's talking about gender-based violence here. It's like a fighting technique, I think, when like Muhammad Ali used to use it, when like you basically hang back on the ropes and let your opponent like try fight you so that he gets tired. And you survive that, and then late game you can just knock the guy. And so yeah, teaching them the rope a dope is obviously like a reference to the fact that men are perpetrators of gender-based violence, and that it's not fucking okay, and they're like, this shit needs to stop. And then saying like, these are the broken homes we form, saying like, this is how we end up with like broken homes that like people have to grow up in, and like it's just deep. This shit has to stop. Yeah.
They fall for men who end up teaching them the rope a dope. These the broken homes we form. It ain't sweet like it's marijuana, leave highs like Maradona, sniff white. Strangled by a short leash, my mama hold her fist tight.
So yeah, he's talking about, yeah, it ain't sweet like marijuana leaves high. It's not like nice like getting high and Maradona sniff white. Apparently, your boy Diego Maradona used to do a lot of cocaine. So that's just a clever reference there. And then, yeah, strangled by short leaves, my mama hold the fist tight. Obviously, I think that's like a Black Power movement reference for sure. His mom was a freedom fighter. Like, she's deep in the game. You got to know how much this guy loves his mom. Like, I'll put a link down below for like a whole tribute that he did to her. Cause yeah, like, he shouts her out a lot. And it's dope for sure. The next part here, to be honest, like, I don't know if I can really add much to them. I'm just going to let them play and you guys can take away what you can.
Them the rope a dope. These the broken homes we form. It ain't sweet like it's marijuana, leave highs like Maradona, sniff white. Strangled by a short leash, my mama hold her fist tight. Tell a bigot he can suck and lick a piss pipe. Cause we gon' get that level up and win in this life. Hey, I'm from the real south, not the fried catfish killer Mike. I mean that township, real south, where blacks go through hardship like a round trip flight. It's batshit backwards for the wrong skin type. And I am disliked, but I don't give too many fucks. When they set the bar, I look back and tell them where it was. This shit ain't for everyone. Second cousin and aunt taking the dump on our culture for a radio chart. Hey, but I ain't mad at you. Might even dance to it. And half the world can watch me Thanos snap to it. Rest in peace, Pro Kid. Rest in peace, Double HP. Rest in peace, Relative Padella. Rest in peace, Ben Sharper. Stogie fucking T.
Oh,
Yo, you gotta wait for the RIPs, you know. Shout out to the dead homies. Yeah, lit guys. Stogie T freestyle on Sway in the morning. You know, it's not only just about him flexing. There's a lot in there about like colonialism's legacy in Africa, gender-based violence, and then of course some flexing because he's on Sway. You know, you gotta flex. Super dope freestyle. I really like. If you guys don't know and haven't heard a lot of Stogie T, you gotta get into it. You gotta go listen to this guy. He's absolutely lit. Definitely some of the best hip hop exports South Africa's got out there. Otherwise, thanks for listening. You know, it's my first video. I'm super proud it's done now. If you guys want me to do like these close readings of like other songs, please drop it in the comments. Otherwise, don't stress too much about liking or subscribing at the moment. I don't even know if I'm going to keep doing this. But yeah, you know, stay safe out there. Hope quarantine's going well. And yeah, I'll hopefully check you guys soon. Yes, that went on for a long time, hey? That off. I can turn